Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ, and I was going to do this video tomorrow, but tomorrow I'll be busy. So, yeah, debate video number 3. This is part 3 of a 3-part saga. Yes. This time we're debating Hero Factory versus Bionicle G2. So, which one is the best, which one is the worst? I guess we'll find out. So, starting with Hero Factory, because it came first. It lasted 5 years. Wow, 5 years. Starting in 2010, starting in summer of 2010, early in the year we lost Bionicle. The last wave of sets was the Stars, and oh boy, a lot of people were not happy with the Stars. I didn't care for them that much, but they're okay, for the most part. Parts packs at the best. Then came the Ben 10 sets. This is the only thing I have to say about the Ben 10 sets. Yeah, they fucking sucked. I have a video on the Ben 10 sets. Go watch it. It's hilarious. It's a rant video. It's in the playlist, and there you go. Hero Factory started off with the 6 heroes, 3 rookies, 3 pros. And this was the Rise of the Rookies era story arc. You got 4 villains of the, small box variety. You've got 2 Titan villains, which were pretty cool. And these builds overall felt like Bionicle builds almost. Mostly because there were Bionicle parts being used and also Bionicle adjacent parts. And it even says on the boxes from the makers of Bionicle, down there. So, clearly Hero Factory was trying to be the successor to Bionicle, and unfortunately, it satisfied enough people who were willing to buy every single fucking set. It was successful to some degree, but when we get down to it, the sets are the best part of Hero Factory. Some were better than others, but for the most part, there are some pretty awesome sets. I mean, look at Pyrox, for example. He's a literal fucking demon, and you know it. Ooh. Anyway. The multimedia was not as good as Bionicle's multimedia. Bionicle G1 had the best in terms of multimedia for the 2000s. And there was so much of it, it was hard to keep track. With Hero Factory, well, you got comics, you got books, you've got a show, you've got, a live-action movie? A live-action movie for a LEGO franchise. That was unheard of at the time. Well, there was already a live-action version of Galador, but you can argue that that's based off of characters that look humanoid, but also look frightening. I'll have a separate video on that, I guess. Good lord. Hero Factory, in a live-action form, the characters themselves would probably be staying true to their robotic form. The humans, well, they'll look like you and I, obviously, so we're humans, so they're robots. But this was eventually scrapped because it was in development hell for the 5 years of Hero Factory's existence. There were games that were kind of shit. I'm going to be honest. The Hero Factory games were very shitty, and the smell of it smelled like shit. I was not happy with the games. Invasion from Below was the nail in the coffin for Hero Factory. The game itself is lame, boring, crap. And the cutscenes in between, fights with the creatures and whatnot, well, those were eventually combined together into like a game movie sort of thing that someone posted on YouTube as like a final episode to Hero Factory, the show. Doesn't work that well as an episode, guys. Come on. It was cringe. It really was cringe. The voice acting was horrible. While Bree stayed true to her vocal roots in Bionicle: The Legend Reborn, is literally the same. She's literally the same voice actor who played Kina, I think. And Furno and Stormer were changed out for some reason. These are not the voices that I knew from the prior few years. What the fuck happened to Stormer? What the fuck happened to Furno? I think even Rocco was changed out. And Bulk. Invasion from Below was a cringe fest, and we all knew it. It sucked. And if you defend Invasion from Below, and that's your favorite year of Hero Factory, I hated Invasion from Below, and it was the real nail in the coffin for the franchise. The sets, well, yeah, the mechs were definitely garbage. Useful for parts, at least. You could take those cockpits and throw them out the door. The minifigs were vomit-inducing. The little jumper things were Visorak-like things. They press on their butts and pew, they fly, which was pretty cool. Nice nod to the Visorak from the playsets. The Evo mech big thing is okay for the most part. I actually kind of like the look of that one, for the most part. And the creatures from Invasion from Below are actually kind of cool. The flower pod things are interesting. Nice concept. But really, yeah. I've already talked about Invasion from Below ad nauseum. I still hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it. Worst story year for Hero Factory. Yeah, I hated it, and I still say that Brain Attack was the best story year for Hero Factory. But even then, there was a cliffhanger at the end. The Dragon Bolt thing spawned evil brains out of its anus, and it was down in that hole that the dragon created into the ground of the Hero Factory basement thing, whatever. Wow. And you know what? There was also a cliffhanger at the end of the final cutscene for Invasion from Below. There was an egg pod, flower pod, on the ship. What do you think that's going to do? It's going to spawn out jumpers. They're going to possess the heroes and probably kill everybody on that ship. Remember what happened to the Predators from Aliens vs. Predator Requiem? Yeah. The Pred Alien killed them all. Ugh, wow. That movie in and on itself was weird, but decent sequel to a pretty good film in my opinion. Oh, so the show for the most part was okay. It's not terrible, it's just kind of goofy and corny and cheesy and story was bullshit. It really was. It was kind of lame. It was not to my liking. I didn't really care about the story for Hero Factory. I still watch the show just because I can. That's it. Well, there were two DVDs, Rise of the Rookies and Savage Planet / Ordeal of Fire. But these were to complete a DVD deal with, I guess, Tinseltown Tunes? Because they got The Legend Reborn in 2009, so in 2010 we got Rise of the Rookies, and 2011 Savage Planet and Ordeal of Fire. CCBS was the best part of Hero Factory. That's when a whole new generation of building style came to fruition. It was a fun system to work with. I don't know what's gonna get through to you people. you don't like CCBS because it's too simple, fuck yourselves, because CCBS, it's not bad at all. You're the ones who are bad. Seriously. Go buy yourself a set off of eBay and build it. Or better yet, buy up a ton of Hero Factory sets, build with them, see what you can create, and shut the fuck up. So, Hero Factory, while it did have some detractors, myself included for the first year or so, I don't know. Yeah, I really hated Hero Factory when it came out, but I grew to appreciate its legacy within the past 5 years. So, yeah, I don't hate Hero Factory. I just hate the story. It's just bullshit. Ugh. It's boring, lackluster, leaves a lot to be desired, plot holes aplenty, cliffhangers. We did get the Hero Recon Team thing, which was pretty cool. You get your own custom hero. I have 2. It's the same character, but still. I did a video on that too, check that out. So, it seemed like Hero Factory did have something to offer in terms of construction, the evolution of construction, and overall, well, what is there else to complain about here? Especially nowadays. Well, we lost Hero Factory at the end of 2014 in favor of Bionicle G2, and that's where this video transitions to part 2, where we talk about G2. It lasted for 2 years out of a potentially planned 3. I don't think they even planned a 3rd year for Bionicle G2. It was to be given 2 years and that's it. How is this possible? They sabotaged it. The budget was slashed considerably. About half. Maybe a little more than that. And they took those funds, and I've stated this previously before, but still. They took those funds and poured them over to the Star Wars CCBS sets from 2015 to, well, the end of 2018, the last wave from 2018. They used up all those funds to basically create something that's anybody can buy, really. It's because it's Star Wars. So they distracted kids at the time of 2015 and 2016 from buying Bionicle sets to instead buy Star Wars CCBS sets. This was a strategic move on LEGO's part, and it hurt G2 more than anything. This information, it hurts. It really hurts. And to see Bionicle G2 go down in flames like it did, well, it was inevitable. Because the sets, kids weren't buying them. At least us fans, who were passionate enough to buy up all the sets, buy up all the books and the exclusives and stuff. At least we did everything in our power to promote this theme, just like LEGO had intended. They relied on us to promote the theme, so the marketing can be piss poor on their end. And we were scapegoats, essentially. Wow. Thanks, LEGO. That's real nice. That's real fucking nice of you, isn't it? No. We were duped. Bionicle G2 had books, graphic novels, only 2, and 3 books. An activity book that was shit. 2 app games, plenty of posters to, a couple of foil packs, San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, well, Comic-Con in general exclusives, polybags, the sets themselves, a Netflix show, web animations from 2015 magazine content. Again, posters. There's a fold-out poster from the magazine over there above my PC. Well, this is awkward. There was also other comics. There was a French comic, I think. There was some music from the app games that was ripped from said games, and you can download them off of the Biomedia project. There's also a insert thing that came with the with a issue of Lego Club magazine. There was also, the final thing we got was, well, I didn't get it, but a limited edition art book for the art of Bionicle G2. That would be nice to have all that concept art physically. Well, unfortunately, it only lasted for 100 copies. Luckily, there was a PDF available that you can download, potentially print off a paperback bootleg if you so choose. If you want to do that, go ahead. We didn't get Shadow Titan Makuta. We didn't get Mask Maker Makuta. We didn't get the Mask of Ultimate Power. We didn't get graphic novel number 3. The story for Bionicle G2 was worse than Hero Factory story. Seriously. It's insane. And yeah. Bionicle G2 had a worse story than Hero Factory's. It was even worse than Bionicle G1's story. Don't you forget that. Bionicle G2 could never hold a candle to Bionicle G1. G2's story was boring. It was dull. It was lifeless. It was cringeworthy at points. It was subpar. The ratings went down the toilet. And yet, still, fans were happy that Bionicle was back for 2 years. A lot of concept art went down the toilet, but at least there was that PDF available, so. And there were still some fans, true fans, no you're not, fans of Bionicle G1 who were kept up at night for 2 years, just they were just foaming at the mouth and not happy because people were enjoying this theme that they don't approve of enjoying. How dare you act like that? And once G2 was cancelled, they had the audacity to feel good because they celebrated. How sick are you? Like, seriously, you celebrate the cancellation of a theme 2 years into its release, and you feel good about that? You feel good about people not being able to enjoy G2 for what it was? Mediocre at best? You're sick in the head. Fuck you. At least those people and other folks have sort of moved on afterwards. But the scars still remain. When Bionicle G2 ended, I wanted to kill myself. I didn't, though, because it's not worth it. I rolled with the mindset that a world without Bionicle was not worth living in. Obviously, I'm over that now. And for the past, I don't know, 3 years, it seems. Maybe 5 at best. Bionicle G2 had great sets. The Toa Masters were bright, vibrant, and dual functionality and awesome fun. The Uniters were great. They were better than the Masters, in my opinion. With the ability to have waist articulation, which was new for CCBS, and you could click the creatures on their backs. Obviously, you have to have the golden masks. And there you go. Phoenix Tahoe became a meme. And that was a fun meme while it lasted. The Skull villains were okay for the most part. I liked Kulta. I liked Skullbasher. The others I don't really mind, to be honest. Even Skull Scorpio was still the worst out of the Skull villains, but hey, even that was pretty cool. Lord of Skull Spiders is probably the most unmemorable villain you'll ever find in Bionicle. It's just a Rahi cretin. A big giant tarantula thing with 6 legs as opposed to 8? They don't know how to design a spider, clearly. Umrak the Hunter was a pretty damn good set. Awesome Titan build. I love that set. Fantastic. Umrak the Destroyer was much better. He gets his own special place on one shelf up there on the wall because he's just that damn awesome. The beasts, the elemental beasts, which are back there. They're okay. For the most part, they get the job done. Even though they felt empty and lifeless as characters, but that's because they were pawns in Makuta's game. Ikimu, the mask maker from that same wave of 5 sets, was a good set. He looks good for the most part. The fact that we got a second version of the Mask of Creation was pretty cool. The fact that we got the Mask of Creation at all spawned a G1 Mask of Creation that was canonized by Greg Varsity because fans, I don't know, bitched at him to do so. Wow. So a lot came out of G2 that was a lot of fun. There were memes, there were podcast episodes that, well, some of them could be cringy at times, but there were a lot of videos that were spawned by fans, and people were just enjoying and having fun with Bionicle G2 for what it was. And yet still, there were fans, so-called fans, they're not fans, they're trolls, that were bitching about this theme because it uses Hero Factory parts. Yes, CCBS started with Hero Factory, but that doesn't strictly make it Hero Factory parts, you bunch of fucking morons! There's CCBS parts. Get it through your thick fucking skulls. DC and Marvel superheroes also use the parts. Legends of Chima also use those parts. While we only got the first 6 sets over here, and I have 5 of them built, we didn't get the Fire and Ice wave of sets. Fuck you, Lego. Star Wars obviously came along at the tail end of 2015. It lasted until 2018. Lego held on as best as they could with CCBS, even though it wasn't truly selling because of the prices. It's a licensed theme, I get it, but Lego Star Wars CCBS sets should not cost $20 to $30, maybe on and off upwards to $35 a pop. It's ridiculous. CCBS truly died with Lego Star Wars, but at least bootleg companies gave us some Marvel stuff that was pretty cool. There was Black Panther, there was Thanos, there were Iron Spider-Man. Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff. Bionicle G2's story felt like an insult, especially towards the end. At the end of Journey to One, what the flying fuck were you doing? Volta, the animation studio behind the Journey to One. Yes, the animation looked pretty damn good. The voice acting, while the sound of the voices coming from behind the masks, I get that's what they were going for, was make them sound robotic. It was not necessary. You could have made them sound perfectly fine, like they did in the movies from G1. They didn't do that. They decided to do something different. I applaud that. I applaud doing something different and unique. But it did not work. It ended up coming off as disrespectful and cringe and fail. G2's story seemed even simpler than Hero Factory story. And while the two themes are comparable, it's really a challenge to really hold an argument saying that these two lines are the same. There's nothing different between either of them. You can't say that and expect people to not bitch at you about being a troll. Hero Factory was nothing like Bionicle. G2 was only similar in terms of the construction parts being used in some cases, but it was still a completely different theme. But somehow, LEGO made Bionicle seem simpler and duller than Hero Factory story. It's amazing how they were able to do this. They only planned for 2 years for G2, to where with Hero Factory, it was destined to have only 5, guaranteed. Hero Factory felt like a distraction. It felt like something for us to enjoy until 2015 rolled around and we got Bionicle G2 for 2 years. And then what came after that? Star Wars sets. That's all that we got. That's all that was left. CCBS truly died with Star Wars. Bionicle G2 was... It certainly didn't help matters, but yeah. LEGO's sabotaging of Bionicle G2 ever having a cultural impact on us, the fans, and the market in 2015 and 2016. It was never going to happen. LEGO fucked themselves with Bionicle G2. Not enough people bought them. Only passionate fans did. There was a small minority of kids that actually bought these sets, or at least had their parents buy them. Or grandparents, or both. But that's a small minority. Bionicle G2 could never succeed. Bionicle could not succeed at all in this day and age. At least at the time of 2015 and 2016. 10 years ago is when the Skull Villains started showing up on store shelves. And they were laughed at. They're not bad. They're okay, for the most part. At least the Protectors were great parts packs. I enjoyed the Protectors. The creatures, well, they were pretty cool too. The traps, the little shadow traps, and the skull spiders, minions at best is what those are, but they're cool. At the end of the day, which one of these two themes truly sucked the worst out of both of them? And which one, I guess you'd probably be asking, is, at least in my opinion, is the best? Well, it's kind of hard to say which one sucked worst than the other one. I mean, let's be honest, Hero Factory lasted longer than G2, 5 years, but G2 only had 2 years, so there's a balance there in Hero Factory's favor. And we got some good parts. We got a new building system with G2 with Hero Factory. What was new about G2 in terms of the sets that we haven't seen before, besides new parts that were exclusive to that theme? Nothing. It felt like LEGO was just trying to create a theme that was destined to fail based on the perceptions of CCBS and its existence. So, at the end of the day, I'd have to say Hero Factory wins this one. Hurts to say that because I loved Bionicle. G2, while it's not my favorite of the two Bionicles that existed, it still brought a lot of joy to me. It felt like a dream was literally coming true before my eyes. And when it was canceled in 2016, I literally wanted to kill myself. That says a lot right there about this. What happens, you know? It's like, if the death of a theme twice is enough to make me want to kill myself, there is a serious problem, and it's not my mental health. Thankfully, I'm over it now. But I'll never forget. Will never forget. As Bionicle fans, embrace G2 for what it was, as opposed to what it is. What is it? Mediocre at best. But hey, I liked the sets. The sets were good at most. Some better than others, like Umrak the Destroyer being fucking awesome, monstrous, demonic death. It was an awesome set. The Masters and the Uniters, both being fantastic sets. Overall, it seemed like the sets were the best part of Bionicle G2. And this was the same with Hero Factory. The sets were the best part, plus we got a new building style. So, at the end of the day, yes, Hero Factory is better than Bionicle G2. If you disagree, well, to be honest, I bet you're a fan of both equally. And while there are some folks out there that just love Bionicle G2 and Hero Factory equally, that's only a minority of folks. I love Bionicle G1. It is the best out of all three of these. Nothing will ever top it. Not even Ninjago. Ninjago has a huge story. It's lasted longer than beyond rational thought. But it's nowhere near close as good as Bionicle. And Ninjago never will be as good as Bionicle. Bionicle will always be, it'll always hold a special place in my heart as my favorite LEGO theme of all time. And it should be yours as well. If you prefer Hero Factory and G2 combined over G1, we're gonna have some problems. Because both of those themes, while they did have some good things about them, they still faltered. And overall, which of the three would you pick out of all three of these? G1, G2, or Hero Factory? Obviously for me it's G1, because that's what I grew up with. Hero Factory felt like a stain upon the very name of Construction, but it was necessary for the evolution of Construction. That's the thing some people don't realize. Hero Factory was necessary for the evolution of construction. And Bionicle G2 was part of this too. You may not want to admit it. You're wrong. Even the Ben 10 sets. I hate to say it, but the Ben 10 sets were still part of the evolution of construction. They offered some decent parts, even though the head molds were just shit. I'm not a Ben 10 fan, so I don't really care. But overall, all the construction sets that we did get from 1999 up until, or 1998 to, well, 2018, with the final round of Star Wars sets, there's a lot of solid sets out there that have existed for a time, but their time was drawing to a conclusion no matter what we do. Bionicle wasn't making Lego enough money towards the end of G1's run. So they stopped production to protect the theme from actually being dead. They brought it back for a reboot in 2015 and 2016 and effectively killed the franchise, at least on Lego's end. It's their fault. It's their fault to begin with. They sabotaged Bionicle G2 as much as possible so that they can further their own profit gain with a license theme. How awful is that? That truly is awful. That's just another example of Lego chasing the almighty dollar as opposed to rewarding their core fan base and giving us sets that are actually good and have a great compelling story to go with them, as opposed to shameless cash grabs. And that's what G2 felt like. Cash grabs. They were capitalizing on Bionicle G1's success by delivering an inferior version. Despite the good things about G2, it was inferior to G1. This I believe 100%. If you disagree, more power to you. But really, we should embrace every single construction set that ever existed. Because at least every one of these construction sets that existed had something to offer. Really anyone, to be honest. What are your favorite construction sets? I like to say that some people probably prefer Robo-Riders or Slicers over Bionicle G1. Well, you're wrong, clearly. If it wasn't for Slicers or Robo-Riders, we wouldn't have gotten G1, so I guess I can understand your argument. But at the same time, they still remain crucial pieces of the construction puzzle. This I believe 100%. While CCBS died with Star Wars, it truly is sad that a great building style had to be, building style had to end with a license theme. That's sadder more than anything. Lego, how could you let a good building system die with a licensed theme, or by a licensed theme? It's insane and just wow. Wow. You can't honestly do that and expect not to be bitched at for killing off a great system. I will admit, I love the original construction system that Bionicle gave us, and Slicers and Robo Riders gave us. However, CCBS is a nice evolution of construction. It was necessary as a building style. Don't take construction for granted, like LEGO has. Construction needed CCBS to evolve, in order to evolve, actually. And without CCBS, construction might have died with Hero Factory. It's year one. Or we wouldn't have gotten Hero Factory, and Bionicle would just be lingering in the background. So, watch what you say about construction and CCBS, because at the end of the day, you're making yourself look like a fool because you don't like CCBS. And if you prefer system builds over construction builds, well, that's a totally different building style to begin with. SCCBS is the current building style for buildable action figures. System, but with some ratchet joints and Mixel's ball joints. Don't get me wrong, the Mixels are fucking shit, but they gave us 12 ball sockets. These are, again, a necessary piece to the construction puzzle. Construction may not exist in the way that you want it to, but at least we have SCCBS as the new era, the future of construction. This I believe, and I think you should do too. You should believe it too. Embrace SCCBS while it's still here. Because sometime in the future we may not see a SCCBS. It might not last forever, but SCCBS is what we have now. And it's going to stick around for quite a while. But if they end up stopping production in a couple of years, fault's on you, actually, for not buying these sets when they were released. Support a good system, not one that is unmemorable. I get it. It's hard to support LEGO nowadays with their actions, but at least they did. At least they're doing some good things with some themes. LEGO One Piece is not bad. Obviously, that's a system-based theme entirely, but and the Gift with Purchase Tahu and Takua set, fantastic set. Even though the logistics behind it, fuck you, LEGO. There you go. 44 minutes of, well, this. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll probably be back tomorrow. If not, I'll be back on Sunday then. So, hope you all enjoyed this 3-part sort of experience. And I apologize for this being the longest episode, but I guess I needed to, get the message across. So, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. I am TheZOMBIEJ. I'll see you folks later. Have a good fucking day, and peace.